Good morning. Happy Monday. It is time for just a word from the Word. This morning's passage comes from the prophet Zecharia, chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. You're probably familiar with verse 6. You may not be as familiar with verse 7. But here's what it says in the King James. Then he, an angel speaking to the prophet, answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, the king, at that point, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying, Grace, grace unto it. What was the angel telling Zerubbabel? In the context of the passage, the prophet Zechariah had been in the midst of seeing visions, receiving prophetic words from the Lord. In the beginning of chapter 4, we find Zechariah, being, as he described it, like he was being woke up from having been asleep. And he's seeing this vision of a candlestick and trees and on right and left side of the candlestick. He's seeing this beautiful vision, and the angel is speaking to him, and he's talking to him about Zerubbabel the king, and how Zerubbabel, that God is going to do great and mighty things through him, but it's not going to be because of Zerubbabel's might or Zerubbabel's power. See, the king had power, the king had ability, he had might. But that what was about to happen was not going to be based on human effort. That the glory that was about to be seen was going to be brought about because of the Spirit of the Lord. In fact, it was going to be so powerful in this prophetic vision, the angel tells Zechariah that even a mountain is going to be made plain. In other words, this great big tall mountain is going to be brought on down because of what God is doing in Zerubbabel. It's going to be so great that Zerubbabel and everyone that sees it is going to cry, Grace! Grace! It's the grace of God that has done this. As I was praying this morning, I was thinking about the amazing grace of God. My voice is just not awake enough to sing, but if I could at this point, I would sing to you, Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like you and me. We once were lost, but now we're found. We were blind, but now we can see. You see, there are some things that only God can do. And when God does it and we see it, we will shout just like Zerubbabel did. That's the grace of God. And it's not just grace, it's grace that we see moving and working in our lives. And that's what this morning's Just a Word from the Word is all about. You might be strong. You might even think you've got power. You might think you've got all sorts of ability. But there are things that God wants to do in your life today. I'm not saying this for some future moment. I'm saying today. You see, I went into prayer this morning with this solid assurance that answers are on their way and it's not going to be delayed. So I am here to tell you that there are things in your life that only God is going to do today. And when you see it, you're going to agree with the prophet Zechariah and with the word of the Lord. It's not by might, nor by power, but by the Spirit of the Lord. And you will look at that and you will say, that is the amazing grace of God in my life. And it will be a grand testimony. Hang to that word. I believe God is speaking to somebody very specifically. And that's your word today. Shout grace, grace for what you are about to see happen in your life. This has been just a word from the Word. God bless you. Have a beautiful, amazing day. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow.